1-0 on Harold Baines, who's 1 out of 2. And there's a high drive hit out into deep right center field. Forget it. A home run for Harold Baines.
Oh, for the long ball, and the Sox sure connected for some long balls this week. All the action is up next on Sox 88 Weekly, the Jim Fregosi Show. Sox 88 Weekly, the Jim Fregosi Show, is brought to you in part by your neighborhood True Value hardware store and by the Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers. Go with the driving force. Hi, fans. We're on the road again for Sox 88 Weekly, the Jim Fregosi Show, and we're coming to you from Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. I'm John Rooney, along with the skipper of the White Sox, Jim Fregosi. It was a long ball week, a victory over Roger Clemens, and you're back on the road, Jim.
Well, you know, we've played well on the road. We've swung the bat much better on the road than at home, and it must be made because Harold Baines is starting to swing the bat. So well, things are looking up as far as our hitters are concerned.
Coming up, we have the highlights, we have the Jim Fregosi Files, a feature on Jack McDowell. All that and more coming up on Sox 88 Weekly, the Jim Fregosi Show.
Sports in Chicago. There's nothing quite like it anyplace else.
You can feel it. Chicago, oh Chicago, feel it all over Chicago's mind.
The Bears aren't the only game in town, but when it comes to complete sports coverage, we are.
Chicago, oh Chicago, take a look inside the new. Sometimes.
For home delivery, call 321-2800.
Round of lights here?
Hey! Oh, the idea was this, huh?
If you want the one light that outshines them all, ask for Bud Light.
Let me know when you're ready for another round.
Because everything else is just a light.
Back on Sox 88 Weekly, the Jim Fregosi Show. Now it's time to take a look at the highlights for the past week. Jim, you started out with the Yankees at home and then went on the road to play Boston and on to Baltimore.
Well, you know, it was a big series against the Yankees at home. I thought we had a chance to win both games. We didn't get that done, but we went into Boston facing Clemens and Hurst, and we beat Roger Clemens again, which was a big ball game for us. And then we had some bad weather in Baltimore and split the first two games in Baltimore.
And you had a situation where you go into Boston, and when you're facing Clemens and Hurst, that's not too bad to come out of there with a split.
Well, you know, that was pretty good. Hurst pitched an excellent ball game against us, and I don't know what it is. We've got something over Roger. He seems like every time he starts the ball game, he's going to pitch a no-hitter, but we end up getting some runs off him and beat him. So it's we've been fortunate against him.
And did you ever tag Roger Clemens for the long ball? We've been building up the home runs, so let's go to the highlights now and take a look at the Sox highlights for the past week. Well, Jim, we pick it up with a wide shot of Comiskey Park, and Jerry Royce on the mound for you.
You know, he pitched an excellent ball game. He had not pitched in a regular rotation. He went in, and he was going for his 200th win. He took us into the 8th inning. We couldn't ask for any more than the kind of job he gave us.
And how about Calderon on this play? He gives you quite an effort.
Well, you know, Ivan started out a little slow. The weather was cold, and he was not really playing well defensively, but he has worked extra hard on trying to prepare himself for a ball game.
And out of the bullpen, the Yankees want this man, Righetti, all set, and he has to face Harold Baines.
Well, Harold really took him deep, almost to dead center. Righetti, who ended up pitching 3 2/3 innings, probably the longest stint he's had in a while in that ball game, and to try to keep the Yankees in the ball game.
Boy, what a hard-hit ball for Harold Baines. And he hit it against the wind, Jim.
Well, you know, that's a tough ballpark this time of year. Comiskey, the wind's been blowing in, it's been cold, and the ball really does not carry well like it does in June and July.
You're facing Billy Martin. He had some troubles in Texas, but thought he was going to have a lot more trouble in the ballgame with the White Sox, but what a nip-and-tuck game.
Well, you know, we take it into the 12th or 13th inning, and it's to lose a ball game on a wild pitch, and then Bobby Thigpen, I told him after the game, he got clipped and he got everything, and they scored the 2 runs on a wild pitch, and it was an unfortunate ball game, but the club battled tough, and they battled back.
The final score, the Yankees 6 and the White Sox 4. And right back to play the Yankees again, back at Comiskey Park, and here's Dan Pasqua playing against his old team, and Charlie Hudson's on the mound.
Well, you know, this is a game. Charlie Hudson has pitched well against us in the past, but, you know, Billy did not go too long with him. He got 1 hit in the 7th, Pasqua, and we scored 1 run on a wild pitch. So, you know, it's an unfortunate thing that we just did not swing the bat well that evening.
And with Shields on the mound and the wild pitch, Pasqua crossed. The Yankees won the game 4-1, swept the 2-game series, and then we move on to Fenway Park in Boston with the famous Green Monster out in left, and McDowell's on the mound for you.
Well, you know, Jack was a little nervous before the ball game. He's had a little bit of a tender shoulder, but he has not. And to go into Boston and having a big crowd and facing Roger Clemens, that's really something that was exciting for the young man.
And a home run for Greg Walker. He hit the ball to the perfect spot in right field, right down the line and into the first row.
Well, John, you're talking about a ballpark that has, you know, got so many years behind it, and such an exciting ballpark to play in. And Walk just did. He got enough of it, and it curled right around that foul pole down the right field line.
And Walker's homer made it 3-1. The 6th inning, Baines is on base, and Calderon's the batter.
Well, Ivan really hit this ball. It was a breaking pitch out over the plate, and he hit it into the deepest part of the ballpark, and it was a big bomb for him. And, you know, Ivan's really swinging the bat well, and he's got hitting the ball out of the ballpark.
Tops in the league with home runs, along with Canseco of Oakland. 5-1 the score. Bill Long's on to finish up.
Well, Billy done a fine job. He struggled a little bit early with his control, but as the game went on, he did an excellent job.
And the White Sox win the ball game 6-2, beating Roger Clemens for a 5th straight time. Now right back to Fenway Park, and Sox all the way.
Well, yeah, we had used some of our young pitchers in this ball game, and unfortunately, Hurst was just extremely good on this given day. Fisk hit the home run off him, but, you know, that's probably the only bad pitch. Hurst tried to sneak 2 fastballs. He got him out the first time up with a fastball in, tried it again. Of course, Carlton was waiting for it. Carlton, being a veteran, known exactly what he wants to do.
And that ball completely went out of Fenway Park, but the Red Sox won that one handily. Now on to